Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode, another week of the Startup Sessions. My name is Colette Broomhead, and I'm an online startup strategist, which basically means that I help new online business owners to go from zero, sometimes literally no idea even what they want their business to be, to get to the point where they can replace their 9 to 5 income and quit their 9 to 5 for good. And this week, I am continuing our theme of email marketing. So last week, if you didn't catch them, I was going live every day to chat about different types of email that you can send to your subscribers to get them more engaged and, of course, to sell to them. So if you missed those, do go and check them out. And this week, I am talking about the cringeworthy kind of gaffes that we all see in the emails that drop into our own inboxes, and which you need to avoid in your own emails, so that you're not going to lose credibility and, even worse, lose your subscribers. Each day, Monday to Thursday this week, I will be going live to chat about different email mistakes that you could be making and that you should be avoiding if you want to keep your subscribers and keep them engaged and ready to buy from you. So before I dive in, I am just going to go and share this into my Facebook group, Business Class. On Friday, it's worth mentioning, if you have any questions about email marketing or any kind of come up for you while you're watching these, then I will be doing a live Q&A in Business Class, my Facebook group. So if you're not already a member, then get in there so that you can join in the fun with that live Q&A. So let me just share this over. Oops. If you're watching this in the replay, give me a hello and let me know where you are currently with your emails. Do you have an email list? Do you struggle to know what to email them? And are you keen to get help to improve your emails? I always forget that if I go live at this time of day, just the way that the sun comes in through the window, despite the fact that I've got nearly all our blinds closed at the moment, I've just got enough that there's a bit of light coming through, but I've managed to choose the one bit that's making me almost invisible. But anyway, hopefully it's not too off-putting. So let's dive in to the email gaffes that I'm going to be talking about today. The first one is perhaps the most obvious of all, and that is a rubbish subject line. So it amazes me how little care and attention so many people give to the subject line. You could spend hours and hours cultivating the perfect email copy, the images, design, and all of that kind of stuff. But if your subject line isn't excellent and good enough to entice your audience, entice your subscriber to open that email, then all the rest of that work and effort that you've put in is for nothing, because they won't ever see it. So the subject line is key. If you don't get that right, everything else is a waste of time. So please, please, please do make sure that you spend time thinking about your subject line and testing different subject lines to see what type of subject lines work for your audience and what don't work for your audience. Test things like, perhaps adding an emoji into your subject line, or, asking a question as a subject line. Test different things and see what reaction you get from your audience. Check your open rates, and compare. different styles of subject line to see what works best for you. But please do give those subject lines some thought, because if you just kind of spend all this time on your email and then just kind of rush out any old subject line, then you aren't doing yourself any favors at all. So number one email gaff is not spending enough time on your subject line and making sure that you are giving your email a subject line it deserves. Okay, and number two email gaff is also related to subject lines, and this is trick subject lines. So you'll know the kind of ones I mean. So for example, when you get an email that has that kind of RE at the start of it, as if it's kind of part of an ongoing conversation, someone's replying to an email that you've already sent. Now that is used by certain marketers and business owners as a way of getting you to open the email, to because you're kind of like, what's this? I don't remember this. Is this a conversation? You know, and the problem is, yes, it may work to improve your open rates, but actually once someone opens the email and realizes that they've been tricked into it, essentially, they're certainly not going to think much of you or your business. So it's no way really to build a relationship. It's not really thinking ahead. It's only thinking as far as your open rates. And there's no point in having good open rates if actually as soon as anyone opens your emails, they think you're a bit sleazy and sneaky. So make sure that you're not using those. Another example of a kind of trick email is the kind of things where your delivery is on the way, or your order has been processed even though you haven't actually ordered anything. Again, it might get you to open the email because you'd be like, what order, what's going on here? But as soon as you open the email and realize that you've been tricked, you are going to probably delete and probably unsubscribe. And you're certainly not going to think much of the company or the person who has sent you that email. So while it may be effective for getting some people to open the emails, do think twice about using those kind of slightly sneaky, slightly kind of tricky tactics to get your emails opened. So that's gaff number two. Let me just remind myself what gaff number three is. If you've watched any of my previous Facebook lives, you'll know that my memory is appalling and I'm constantly having to check back. Okay, so gaff number three is poor spelling and grammar. So now, this is a bit of a double-edged sword, really, because I certainly don't want you to feel like when you write an email to your subscribers, it has to sound like a textbook and you have to, write it as if you were writing some kind of corporate letter or anything like that. You absolutely can, and in fact should, sound chatty and friendly and informal. You can use slang, you can use colloquialisms. You can even make up your own words if you so desire. The key here, sorry, this is this light that's gradually making me seem more and more kind of ethereal. The key here is to not have unintentional errors, and it's very clear, when you've purposefully spelled something wrong, or you're purposefully spelling in a way to sound colloquial or however, that's fine, because we know that you're doing that on purpose. When there's just kind of careless typing mistakes and grammatical errors, then that makes you appear careless, like you haven't taken the time to check, and slightly unprofessional. Let me just turn this around slightly and see if I can make this a little less garish. That's a bit better. We'll see how that goes. So do check. At the end of the day, we're all human. The odd mistake might slip through, and generally speaking, your subscribers will forgive you the odd mistake, because we're all, we're most of us fairly forgiving when in these things, and we recognize the fact that we are all human and we do all make mistakes, and we've probably made mistakes ourselves. But if you continuously make errors in your emails, you start to come off as unprofessional, as someone who just hasn't taken the care to get it right, and that in turn will lose you kind of credibility, and potentially the trust or respect of your subscriber. So do be careful with typos and grammatical errors. Proofread your emails. If possible, get someone else to proofread your emails before you send them out. You can use tools like Grammarly, just your spell check, to make sure to try and reduce any risk of error before you send out your emails. So that's typos and grammatical errors. The next gaffe I want to chat to you about today is what I hadn't heard of until I kind of pulled together this kind of collation of email gaffes. And one of the ways that I researched this was actually to go into a Facebook group that I'm a member of, a Facebook group for copywriters. And I thought, who better to talk about email mistakes than copywriters. So I said to them, I posted in this group and I said, what are the kind of common email mistakes that you see all the time that people should avoid? And as I say, I hadn't heard of this one, but someone said pretending to be bad at spelling and actually purposefully including, sorry about this, I've got my screen is absolutely covered in dust. And just the sunshine on it has highlighted just how covered it is. Anyway, I digress. So basically the tactic here is to send an email with some kind of purposeful error, and then to send a follow-up email with the subject line, apologies for the error, or sorry about the typo. And what that does is psychologically, we all love to see other people make mistakes. And so it makes us open that email. And so this is like a really sneaky strategy, basically to get people to open that second email up. And then obviously once they've opened it, you can go into your kind of sales spiel, your promotional stuff. But people don't like this. Again, it's making people feel tricked, and no one likes to feel tricked. So any of these kind of sneaky tactics are just not worth it. Yes, it may get someone to open your email, but they're definitely not going to be in any kind of frame of mind to buy your stuff if they've just been tricked into opening the email. So as I say, this wasn't what I'd come across before, but in case you have and you think it's a good idea, it's not. Please don't do it. Okay, so tomorrow I should be going live again, and I will be talking to you about 4 more email mistakes to avoid. So make sure you don't miss that, and don't forget the Q&A on Friday over in Business Class, my Facebook group. If you're not already a member and you'd like to be, then just let me know in the comments and I will pop you over a link to join. And then lastly, before I disappear for the day, let me tell you about a free masterclass that I'm hosting on Wednesday. That's Wednesday this week, the 14th, where I'm going to be chatting about a framework, a 4-part framework that I use in my business, and that has allowed me to drastically cut down the hours I work, but actually start building consistent income and growing that income month on month. If that's something that you would be interested in, then do come and join us for that masterclass. I will also be chatting about 3 big mistakes that you could be making in your business right now that are stopping you from getting that consistent income. And then I'll be talking about why all the strategies that you're trying at the moment that seem to be working for everyone else aren't working for you. There's actually a very simple explanation. It'll be a little bit like a kind of duh moment when you hear it, but it was what I had myself. But yes, come along and join us for that. That's on Wednesday. I'd love to see you there. I will pop a link so that you can register for that in the comments. And I will see you tomorrow for 4 more email errors to avoid. Have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever time it is for you. I'm in the afternoon, so we'll be heading off to pick up my boys from school in just an hour or 2. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.